This podcast contains potentially adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly sexual context. Listener discretion is advised. Okay, welcome to Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. My name is Erica Lance. My co-host today with me is C.R. Rice. Woo! This is an inaugural episode of C.R. Rice. I dragged her in to help me co-host. And our guest today is the incomparable Brian Finney. Woo! Okay, we're going to talk again about what we're drinking so people can follow along. I am drinking Angry Orchard Peach Mango Hard Fruit Cider. I really like this. I like it way too much. Okay. CR, what are you drinking?
I actually upgraded. I went from rum and Coke to like rum and Dr. Pepper. Turns out I was out of Coke, so that's a pretty good mix.
Yeah.
So,
Brian?
That's pretty exotic.
Yeah, very exotic. What are you drinking, Brian?
I'm very plain. Mine is a Goose IPA. I love a IPA beer, and coming from England, I like beer, so it works.
I understand completely. Okay. This is our rapid fire segment of questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What is your favorite book of all time? You said you were ready. And you're not ready.
Yes, I
you gotta shake it out. You gotta get ready.
Well, I have so many. That's the trouble. Cloud Atlas, shall we say, by David Mitchell is one of them.
Why?
What is your guilty pleasure book, though?
Why first, and then you can do guilty pleasure book.
Well, why is because it's so cleverly done. It's in 6 segments that are end halfway through each segment, and then reverse themselves in the second half of the book so that they complete the original bit and finish up back in the 19th century. It goes from the 19th century to the 22nd century, shall we say. Yeah. Tremendous.
Cool. Okay, now your question, CR.
What is your guilty pleasure book? Like the book that you've read that you secretly enjoyed, but you would never tell anybody. Everybody has one.
They do. Lady Chatterley's Lover.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty cool. Okay, what is the least favorite book you've ever read?
Ooh, the least favorite book. Actually, it could be Finnegan's Wake. Joyce's Finnegan's Wake.
Really?
Academics spend their entire lifetime analyzing it, and it's incredibly clever. I mean, written by obviously a genius, who said that he hoped that he would persuade professors to spend the rest of their lives reading it. And for me, it's what shall I say? It's an insult. I mean, there's very little emotional content to it. It's almost entirely cerebral. So I don't like it.
No, that makes
sense.
Okay,
yeah.
So you, in Money Matters, you were talking about, which is one of your novels for everybody that needs to catch up with what we're talking about. You said that she listens to music. What kind of music does she listen to?
Taylor Swift, Beyonce.
Do you listen to Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
My favorites.
Really? That is amazing. So is that what you listen to while you're writing? Do you just throw it on in the background to like help you get into character?
I don't normally write to music actually, but I listen to her when I'm in the car, shall we say, or wherever, about to have a drink.
What does your writing need to be like? There are those of us that can grab our laptops and go to a coffee shop or a bar and have a ton of noise and do totally fine. And then there are people that are like, it needs to be dead quiet, like no noise, no motion. What is your writing environment like?
I was brought up as a kid in a boarding school where, immediately after dinner, you had this huge room where some people were playing ping pong and some people were listening to the radio and some people were having to do their homework. So I learned not to be distracted by anything that was going on around me. So as you say, I could I don't, but I could just as easily do it in a coffee shop as I can do it at home, which is where I do it. But
so where is in your home is your favorite place to write? Is it like your office? Do you go in the living room? Do you sit outside?
I have a large master bedroom that's divided off with a microscope cabinet. And behind the cabinet is where I have a desk and books and write. So that's where I like it.
So your bedroom is divided by a microscope cabinet?
That's right. My wife bought it from UCLA a long time ago, and it works very well for storing clothes.
Okay, I was like, it seems like such a weird thing to have. I love.
Well, we don't have any microscopes in it.
Oh my God.
That's what I was wondering. Like, is that a hobby? Do you collect microscope? And then, okay, I got it now. We're on the same page.
I only get to use like 4 out of a potential, I can't remember, 20 of the cabinets.
Oh wow.
All right.
Wow.
Do you like to go ahead, Erica?
No, you go for it.
What is, if you could pick any genre to write right now, like, would you stick to where you are and like, or would you branch out and do something crazy? Like, would you want to do something with horror or complete sci-fi or romance? Or if you just had the opportunity to like open an envelope and the perfect idea would be in it, like what genre would you choose?
I've toyed with the idea of writing a book from the point of view of my dog. With that,
that would be hysterical.
That would be amazing.
I might yet, fall back on that. I don't know.
That would be very
fun. It would be a satire of contemporary, America, and all of them.
Well, it would be interesting what your dog thinks of COVID.
Indeed, yes, it would. I think he would thoroughly approve of it because he gets to have a lot more company that way.
Oh,
great.
So how was COVID for you? You did write a book in COVID, but how was it in general for you? Because you're in California. We're unfortunately in Florida, where our governor pretends like COVID doesn't exist or is a made up thing, whatever is happening right now politically. But what's it like? Because I have friends in California. You guys went into a much more severe lockdown than we did.
In 2020, particularly during the summer, we did have a very severe lockdown, and it was very, very strange because you would still be talking to neighbors, but from across the road, shall we say? And I mean, we didn't. We did. I and my wife, we didn't shop. We had everything delivered. I mean, it was luckily, we had each other's company, and that was basically, apart from Zooming and apart from telephoning, that was all the socializing that we did or had.
And did you finish that entire other book during the pandemic?
Yes, I did. And it incorporates, I mean, the book ends, it climaxes the day that it's in Northern California, and it's set in 2020, even though I was writing it in later 2020, and it finishes the day that the lockdown occurred, when all the schools closed and the offices closed, and the whole thing came to.
Are you in any writers groups?
No. Yeah.
Oh, well, that was a very quick answer the way that happened. I feel like their story did that. That was very
that was so fast.
Yeah.
I go to a life drawing workshop instead. I like my father was a painter, full-time artist, and taught art, and I love drawing, in particular, life drawing. So,
oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you so what you said you're working on book 3? Do you actually, how far have you planned out books, or do you just kind of being whimsical about it now?
This particular one I'm planning more intricately than I've ever done before, but that's partly because I don't feel ready to sort of go in there and start dashing off writing it.
But do you have more planned? Like I don't know about you, but I have to keep like little voice notes and little notes because I come up with ideas all the time. Do you have a similar thing?
Yeah, I have I've got various documents in a folder, and whether they're either research notes, as to say, like, how does the SEC pursue, defaulters, etc., or I have an outline that I try and keep bare. I don't like to flesh it out at all. I just like to have the actual event that's going on, because I like to leave myself free to, allow the people the characters to talk and behave as they would. And I don't know that until I interact them with one another.
Where'd you get the idea for your books at? Like, were you just sitting somewhere? Did you watch something?
All my books have a political background. They don't originate with a political background, but the first book, Money Matters, was very much concerned with immigration, which we might not remember being in Florida, but the California election was all about immigration. And in fact, the Republican candidate, Meg Whitman, was, of course, anti-immigration. And then it turned out that right near the election, she had an illegal immigrant working for her, which completely sunk her chances. So, that's what's going on in the background of that one. The current one has both the conspiracy theories underlying, the response to COVID, particularly QAnon as part of its background. And also the primary elections of 2020 were going on at that time. And it covers those and the rise of COVID, beginning in a very historical way. So the early days in the book, exactly what happened, in terms of statistics, in terms of numbers, in terms of how many, Chinese were sick with COVID or what have you. And then gradually it takes off into a fictional sphere, no longer relies upon the actuality, but still depicts the potential.
Your search history has to be a lot of fun.
Well, I learn a lot, I must say. Yes, I know more about those things. QAnon, for example, none of my friends had heard of it at the beginning of 2020 when I was beginning to write about it. By the end of the year, by the time I'd finished writing it, everybody knew about it.
Yeah, no, the most recent thing I saw was about the surfer and then anyway, lizard people. Yeah. Very interesting. Snake DNA, whatever the hell that means. Snake DNA. Sometimes I swear reality, we couldn't write this stuff if we tried.
I agree with you. I agree.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Will you finish a book if you start it and don't like it?
No, I won't. No. I mean, unless I have to for professional reasons, I wouldn't. No. But normally
would you scrap the whole thing, or would you take the pieces you like out of it?
And no, I'm talking about reading, not writing a book. Reading.
Oh,
a book.
Yes, that's what I understood. Yeah.
No,
I don't believe in life. Life is precious, and I don't believe in spending time going on reading something that I'm not enjoying.
Has your wife read your books?
Yes, she did, and offered the initial critique.
She offered a critique around how you were writing the female character.
Yeah. I mean, she's one of my severest critics. I've always said.
Oh my goodness. How many words per day can you write when you're on a roll?
I'm on a roll. I don't add them up, but between 1,000 and 2,000, shall we say? That sort of.
You found cover artists and stuff like that. What was that like? Did you describe what you wanted, or did they have a book? Like when you found your cover artists, how did that go?
I looked through existing covers and said, okay, these are the kind of covers that I like. And then we gradually narrowed it down. For example, with Dangerous Conjectures, because it has this couple whose life is, what shall I say, put in danger by all the external circumstances, then internalized by them. So the marriage nearly falls apart, but doesn't. I have if you like, a tear what looks like a tear separating the two characters on the title. And that was my idea.
Very cool. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Is there something that you have to have every single time you're writing? Like whether it's like you have to have like a coin to like play with your hand while you work something through, or something to drink, or a snack? Like, is there something that helps you get through your process?
Not at all. I mean, I enjoy writing. It's something that comes easily to me. I've done it all my life, and I don't need any kind of inducement or whatever you like to say, comfort toy or anything.
I was going to say he's British. It's going to be tea. That's how that works, right?
It would be. Actually, and I do stop, whatever I'm doing, if I'm writing, I do stop at 4 o'clock and make myself a cup of tea, yes. The one British.
I knew that. I knew that. I'm a
It's a
big
very good
fan.
way of breaking the afternoon up before cocktail time.
Yes. Do you get writer's block? Do you feel like you get any kind of form of writer's block?
Well, I haven't until now, but at the moment it isn't so much writing block as idea block. But at the moment I'm not ready to write, although I want to write. So there's a kind of block, but I don't feel as though, you know, I'm frozen. I mean, a friend of mine was completely blocked during the COVID year. She could not write anything at all. Eventually, she broke into a blog as her way of getting out of it, but it just completely froze her.
No, it did that. We talked to a lot of people. I know a lot of people who, you know, we kind of think as writers that are not full-time writers that we're like, woohoo, we're at home, we're going to write. And that's not how it worked out for everybody at all.
No, not at all. No, I was lucky. I mean, I consider myself lucky that, you know, it comes naturally, comes easily, rather, to me.
Okay. What is your favorite book to TV or movie?
Book to movie. Lawrence's Women in Love. I love the movie of that. Great, I think.
And what is your least favorite?
That's hard to say. Oh God, I can't answer that one. I can't think of it. I'll probably remember as soon as we stop talking.
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of movies that were books that they didn't actually do anything with the book in the movie.
Exactly.
They like took the idea and spun a different direction.
I mean, it's a different medium, and it calls for the story being told in a different way, a much more visual way and not a verbal way. And too often they try and fit all the plot in and so on, which they don't have time to do it. You know?
I think doing things on screen is easier than doing it in writing now. On screen, you can show those little things, you know, but then like when you're writing, you have to be so careful about how you say and fit it into your book so it doesn't become wordy.
Exactly. And yet, as you say, you've got to give them a minimum amount of information.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you have for like Money Matters? Was there something that helped inspire you as far as the character choice you made in choosing to do it from like a younger girl's perspective versus?
Well, I've always sort of, I've been very impressed with Jung and his theories. I mean, I'm not a Jungian or anything, but I like his ideas. And one of his ideas is that we all have, in my case, an anima, in your case, an animus. You know, in other words, the opposite gender. It might be a minority part of you, but it's there. You've given the majority part, it's, you know, the outlet, so to speak. But I think that what I was doing was drawing on my anima in constructing her. In other words, you know, I allowed the feminine repressed part of myself expression.
Well, that makes it. What about so I think as writers we all have interesting things we do that the editor comments on.
Yeah.
And says, stop doing this. And some people do it the same thing over and over. Some people evolve what they're doing to drive their editor completely crazy. What are some of your little things that you have to pay attention to when you're writing because your editor's going to be like, stop doing that?
Mainly, although I've learned in the second book to do it less, trying to get your ideas expressed by one of the characters. You know, so the book then no longer appears natural. You know, the reader becomes aware of the fact this is the author's idea and not the characters. So I have to avoid that.
No, that makes sense. What will throw you out of a story when you're reading it? What is like something that is absolutely, you're like, and I'm done?
I mean, mainly credibility. You know, if the character starts acting out of character, or speaking out of character, or if the character is clearly being manipulated in order to achieve a particular effect, that effect is lost on me. I mean, it's no longer believable, which is why I mentioned credibility. So I think that's my take on that.
Well, that makes sense. Okay, Chelsea, you're gonna get the final question. No pressure. Better be amazing.
Okay, what if it has nothing to do with writing though? Because I'm just genuinely curious.
No, go for it.
Okay, if you could be any animal, like crazy animal that you could just like randomly decide to choose into and just like walk away from a situation, what would it be?
I don't really fully understand that question.
Okay, so if let's say you're bored one day and you're
Yeah.
done with your situation and you could
Right.
just turn into any animal and just like walk away, what would it be?
Oh, monarch butterfly.
Oh,
You would choose a butterfly. I
Well,
like that.
they spend their entire time, buzzing around in the air with each other, having a wonderful time. They don't live very long, but they clearly have a great life whilst they're alive. I have several of them in the front yard because I grow plants to attract them there.
That's amazing. I gotta say, I've asked that question all the time, and everybody always says the same things, like a cat, a dog, a bird. I've never heard a butterfly before, and I think that might be the greatest answer ever.
a friend
Well,
of
glad
mine
you like
said
it.
she would turn into a puffer fish. And I said, I'm sorry, what? She's like, I will turn into a puffer fish. And I'm like, that is one of the least practical answers I've ever heard anybody say. So now I make it a point when I find little puffer fish coasters or whatever, I just send them to her. I'm like, here's your spirit animal, my friend, your puffer fish, the great puffer fish. Okay.
Aww.
We're wrapping up. Brian, tell people how to find you on social media and things.
Well, I have an extensive website with all my work and my life and etc. At bhfinney, Finney, at bhfinney.com. And all my printable or published work, at any rate, is on Amazon. That's still in print. And I post on Instagram irregularly, but at least 2 or 3 times a week. And that is my what you call it? A name there is Brian Finney Writer.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much for being on this podcast with us. You are awesome. And amazing.
Talking to you both.
Yes. And so I know you're a little stuck on book 3 right now, but what is your goal date for book 3?
Luckily I don't have a goal date. I don't, I had enough pressure with goals whilst I was working. Now I give myself the freedom to just do it as it happens.
Okay, well, pick up book 1 and 2 and then pressure him on Instagram for book 3. He'll love that. You have been awesome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast with us.
My pleasure.
Okay, it's been Drinking with Authors, Literary Briefs. I've been Erica Lance. My co-host has been C.R. Rice. Our amazing guest has been Brian Finney, and we will see you next time.